So in this video, we're going to be checking out Bitcoin and the Bitcoin dominance, and we're going to be comparing other altcoins to the Bitcoin price just to see if maybe Bitcoin dominance is going to start to fall. Because when we look at the Bitcoin chart right here, we can see that it is going back down to retest the previous wicks, right? But when we check out the others chart, we can see that it's still holding kind of well above the lows right there, and it's not dropping down as significantly. So let's go quickly check out the Bitcoin dominance right here, and we can see what's going on. So is it about to roll over? Well, when we look at this, it looks like there's a possibility that this red candle could continue down, but it's still making higher lows. So let's put on some indicators here. All right, so we have the 821 and the Ichimoku, and one thing that we can see, it is starting to close candles below the 8 and below the conversion line. And if this continues, it might even come back to test the support down here of the baseline around 53.92%, right? And as we can see going back, the baseline has been some support, except for this area right here. It was a couple of weeks below it, but then it maintained the trend, right? And going back in time, the baseline was pretty significant. So one thing we can see is if that baseline gets lost, then price or the dominance could fall towards the 52s or even below. So this could be the first step of Bitcoin dominance falling, but let's check out some other charts in comparison to the Bitcoin price. So the first chart I want to pull up here is the others chart compared to BTC. So instead of others with the US dollar, it's others with Bitcoin, right? So we'll start with the Gann square back here in 2014, and we can see that every level is hitting perfectly so far. Starting with the orange level, price went up, maintained around there the whole time, and then finally broke above to the blue level where it got rejected immediately with this angle sloping up as well. Then came back down to the arcs, then back up to the blue arcs and the blue level. And then what do we see next? Well, price gravitated along this angle all the way up to the green arcs and then back down to the arc and back down. And where do we see price today? Well, it broke above the green level, right? It was resistance here and it broke above. And what is it doing right now? Well, it just confirmed twice that it might be support, right? So it came back down once and just recently twice. It might be confirming that this green level is finally support and that the others, which is excluding the top 10, could be time to break out ahead of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin does fall or stay the same, that means the altcoins could outperform them, right? And this is a good indicator because when we look right here, we can see the past couple of weeks, there's been some green candles while Bitcoin really has done nothing, right? So even though some altcoins feel like they're really painful, they're still kind of outperforming Bitcoin at the moment. That's what that implies. And when we put on the confluence of the Ichimoku and the 8 EMA, we can see that it's still under everything, right? It's under the conversion baseline, 8 and 21. So we can see the resistance, but we can also see the support. So if this strength continues, there's a possibility for price to finally start closing candles above the conversion at 8 and get back towards the cloud, right? We had some opportunity here to stay above it, but it lost it just because I guess it needed to come back down and test that level one more time. So this is a good development that we're seeing green candles while Bitcoin is not really doing anything at all except going a little bit lower. Now let's go check out XRP. Okay, now next we have XRP against the Bitcoin price. And we can see that on this square that it went up to each level and that it was also important one at a time, right? So the first one, the orange, it just went directly through it. Then it went and stopped out at the blue exactly right here. Came back above the green, then came back and flipped it to resistance, and then back to support with the blue, then lost that, then came back almost wicked down exactly to the orange level there, but then mainly maintained around the orange price, and then we can see price going up to the green, then the other green up here, then back down, then up. We can see the symmetry right there, and we can see the importance of this green level right here and the importance of the blue level right here. So where is price today on the XRP chart? Well, let's go over in time, and what do we see happening again? Well, according to GAN, it's already retested twice, once and twice, the blue level. And it's also retested the blue arcs. So, also, when you look at the weekly candles, there's three, four, one, two, three, four. There's four weekly green candles in a row. And that is significant because with the price of Bitcoin not really doing much or falling, the price of XRP keeps on rising. And if we add on the Ichimoku and the 8 EMA, let's go check that out. And it's actually breaking above for the first time in a while. So we can see the conversion is the blue, the 8 is the green. And what do we see here? Well, price is 5% for the week so far compared to Bitcoin, right? That is a pretty good candle right there. And when we see the last time it was below or above the 8 EMA and the conversion line, it was back here in October of 2023. So we can see this massive downtrend that XRP has had and has not been able to get above these two indicators until now. So if strength continues, then we could see another increase up to the 21 EMA right there, which would be how much of an increase compared to Bitcoin? That would be maybe 12% just to this 21 EMA, and to the conversion line, or sorry, to the baseline up here, it would be a 26% increase compared to Bitcoin. So this is a positive development that we see the base right here. We see a floor because we see how important it was in the past, right? This level. And now we can see price breaking above a resistance point, going towards a new resistance point on its way to possibly an even further resistance point. So this is another positive development that this altcoin, this XRP, is going to outperform Bitcoin in the near future. And next we're looking at Ethereum. And Ethereum, we have the low here back in 2015. And we can see where price went to. It went directly to the orange level and then the orange arcs and back tested angles along the way. But the one important thing we can see here from the beginning is the orange level going all the way across, how important that was. And when we go to present day, we can see where price went to. It went to the arcs and it's bouncing in between the arcs. And where does that leave us today? The same situation. It's still bouncing in between the arcs. And it looks like this is a very long base for Ethereum and Bitcoin price. So we can see that. Let's zoom in a little bit. We can see that the bullish engulfing candle here of 20% against Bitcoin happened in May 24th, right? And then what we see now is price is basically testing that resistance right there. But one development we're starting to see is price is starting to get above that arc again. We've seen it before, but it's basically been just a magnet all the way down, whether it's up or down or up or down. So a good confirmation that I would like to see is maybe a big bullish engulfing candle up and then maybe coming back down to retest it to continue higher. So that would be a great confirmation that this would now be flipped to support. So it looks like it's a possibility that it could happen soon, but not yet just because we've seen it above the arc a few times, or a lot in the past, I should say, a lot. But it has not successfully back tested it as support to take off higher. So let's turn on some indicators here just to see what else is a confluence for this chart. And right now we can see that the price is trying to test the cloud, the top of the cloud. So we see why it hasn't broken above. We see in last week there's a wick that wicked directly to the top of the cloud, but it has not broken into the cloud yet. So that could be some resistance holding it down. But we see where support has been after this bullish engulfing candle of 20% back in May. We can see it broke out and it never looked back. And we even just had a bullish crossover. The 8 just crossed above the 21 EMA, which is a bullish cross, and prices above the baseline and the conversion line. So we know where the support is, and we see some resistance right here. But if we can just get a candle to shoot up, maybe to the top here, and then maybe come back down to retest the arc or the bottom of the cloud, then that might be enough to send it to the top of the cloud to continue higher and higher and higher. And then possibly that will be breaking out for Ethereum compared to Bitcoin. So the bottom line is for most of these charts on the altcoins, it looks like we can see a bottom is forming for a push higher while Bitcoin is not really doing anything at all. Let's check out a few more. And the next one we have is Quant against Bitcoin. So we can see from the low here back in 2021, we can see that price just shot up directly to the orange level here. And this is the 45. We can see the importance of that. Once it lost it, it just trended lower and lower to the blue angle. It lost that to that angle. It lost that, confirmed it as resistance. And now we see it trying to find support, and it's finding support on this red angle. And the same situation though, there's two green candles right here while Bitcoin is really not doing anything. So it's actually showing a kind of a trend reversal already. So if we go to the Ichimoku and the 8 EMA, we can see possibly some resistance here, right? Yes, and we can see that the 8 and the conversion line are still holding it down right here. But then the next resistance level above that, if it shot up, would be another 28% higher, right, to the 21 EMA. So essentially, there is some room to run for this coin. And we can see that when was the last time it really shot above the 8? It was right here, but it was just a fake out. But you can see the trend really started after the 8 and the 21 crossed here in January of 2023. It's just been a steady downtrend ever since. And what we kind of see now is finally it's forming a bottom, and no candle really closed below this red angle. So we see where support is and we see where some resistance is. But if that resistance breaks like we saw with XRP, we can possibly see things shoot up to the 21 EMA, which could be like a 28% jump for quant, right? So this is another chart that's showing similarities that possibly a bottom has been found for a push higher. And lastly, we have Solana, and Solana is from the bottom of 2020 from COVID, and we can see that the lows are, or sorry, the low is here, but it's each level is still important, right? This orange level, we can see it was resistance, and recently it just broke out, right? So, and this bottom arc used to be resistance, right? And it was resistance here earlier, but what did we see? A giant bullish engulfing candle of 41% from Solana versus BTC shoot above, flipping this to support. This is exactly what I was talking about. So when it shoots up with a bullish engulfing, comes back down to flip it as support, right? That is a confirmation to me that it was a previous resistance. Now it's flipping to support. And just recently, it just confirmed it as support again. And then we had a 14% weekly candle right here last week that shot up. And now it could be pressing up towards the top of the arc where it's never touched before. So there's a possibility for it to get there soon. Now, if we put on the confluence of the Ichimoku and the 8 EMA, we can see it's actually above the cloud. This is still a very bullish chart against Bitcoin, right? The only thing getting in its way is this conversion line, or this baseline right here, right there. And we can see that if price went to the top of the arc, that would be another like 18%, right? Another 17, 18%. So there is a possibility for it to run, and even up back to that angle above, that would be a massive 192 or even higher, right? Back to this angle right here. So this is another chart that's showing green candles compared to Bitcoin. So the bottom line is, while Bitcoin's doing nothing, some of these altcoins are actually finding bottoms. And when we use GAN for these altcoins, we can see they actually are retesting levels, or they're retesting arcs, and that's in comparison to the other indicators as well. So is it time for the altcoins to break out against Bitcoin? Well, it's just going to be a wait and see, but the way the charts are setting up, that it looks like there is a bottom for the altcoins no matter what Bitcoin does. So let's just pay attention to the charts and see if we can finally get these breakouts that some of the charts are anticipating.